Hi, you're watching HouseSparks Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Patreon.com/HouseSparks. You can do it yearly. It's again, if you want a Christmas gift for me, that's one of the things. Do it for the year. But also, there's the Venmo and Super Chats. And I always forget to mention that kind of stuff. Now, in my job, I am often in a situation where I have to consider ethically, morally, intellectually, and psychosexually how I feel about any particular issue that comes across my newsfeed / transom, and especially if it's a new piece of information or a even dare I say an irrelevant talking point that is interfering with the flow of normalcy and is drawing attention away from real solutions, which happens a lot. And so I gotta think about that. I got sometimes, an issue will pop up and it'll be in the news, and I'm like, okay, I know everybody's on shitter, reacting, jumping through the neck of their shirt, trying to tell everybody how they feel about it without all the information. But I think I could tap the brakes a little bit, hang out for a minute, see how this really shakes out, before I make up my mind. And sometimes the idea is so complex that in the middle of me being in that contemplative space, right wingers will just jump in and start telling me what I think already. Yeah. Right. I was like, hey, how do I feel about that? Like, hey, this is how you feel. But what do I think about it? This is what you think. Like, oh, well, good. I'm glad somebody's brought this up. Thanks so much. And one of those people that does it quite often is Glenn Beck. And now he's got a weird gig. Besides being the only person besides Matt Schlapp to wear a cravat regularly to work or have some sort of neck harness to keep his gullet in position, or perhaps to hide his growing nunt. We don't know. Glenn also is single-handedly trying to bring back the Woody Allen look, while at the same time never giving up on his failing repeated audition to be Colonel Sanders. Now, apparently, leftists, which I suppose, I don't know if I qualify on the merits, but I'm certain that he would call me one, if that makes sense. And this is it too late? Too late for love. Sorry. Never pass up an opportunity to burst into Def Leppard. So, is it too late to escape the leftist plan for global chaos? Okay, first of all, you can't plan chaos. It goes against the entire purpose of it. If you plan it, it's no longer chaos. If it's controlled chaos, it's not chaos. I don't want to be a purist about this, but it's fucking stupid. Just, I mean, 5 steps to revolution. Look, just because what's going on inside the washer or the dryer looks crazy from the outside, it's actually quite controlled. The amount of water, the heat of the water, the spin cycle. It may look nuts to you as stuff's tumbling and rolling together, but that's part of the process. And Glenn, who doesn't do his own laundry, and you can tell if you meet him, has 5 steps to revolution. We could solve this. And by the way, you guys know that on a personal level, revolution is a heavily overused word. It's kind of like people who never got over their rebellious streak in high school and are now fucking adults. That they're the ones who tend the most to talk about revolution, especially in a political sense, and not in a sort of colloquial analogy sense, but for real. Yeah. 5 steps to revolution. Revolution calling. All right. And of course, Queensryche can always have.
These are the 5 steps for revolution.
Oh, good. Write them down. Let's go. There might be a pop quiz at the end of this.
It's, as he accurately said in the clip I played for you a minute ago.
Yeah, maybe attach the clip to your fucking video so we know what the hell you're talking about.
The CIA developed this.
Did they?
And it was for revolutions, green and color.
Oh, I see. So that's why it's called 5 Steps to Revolution, which is what the CIA tends to use names like that They do. They tend to, when they make a list like this, like how to destroy a country, the CIA plan. This is in the Department of fucking shit up.
Or revolutions. And it's really easy. You have to discredit the press.
Okay, so Donald Trump discredits the press. Okay, so it's really easy. All right, that was easy. I don't know why he's not in power now. If it was that easy, if that's maybe he got, you know what? Maybe he got the other 4 steps wrong. Maybe that's why. Yeah, that's why.
Now, once you discredit the press,
or I guess they discredit themselves because they become fake news. In which case, does that count? Do you get points for that? Or
you also have to discredit intelligentsia. You have to discredit all of the experts.
Oh, I see. You mean like mocking elites and scientists and people like Anthony Fauci and shit like that, and telling people instead to listen to you and Joe Rogan about horse paste with fucking ivermectin in it that you can take, and if you have worms, you'll feel a lot better.
Well, they've done both of these themselves.
I see. So it's on autopilot. I see. So it's not you and your kind mocking these 2 institutions. You're discrediting them, and then you're going, I'm not discrediting themselves. They don't deserve credit. Uh-huh.
Okay? And I don't...
No, not okay. Fuck you.
Don't think that it is...
At all.
A coincidence, that it works out. Everything that the left does...
No. You can't have a planned revolution that requires the discrediting of these 2 bodies if they've collapsed under their own weight in your theory. That's not a revolution. That's a devolution of the processes of society, if you believe that's actually what's happening, which it isn't. But that's what Trump said about doing. The problem is he did it so obviously and so pathetically that everybody knows that's what he was doing, railing against elites and rhinos and the establishment and the deep state and all these fucking people who show up every goddamn day and do the job you don't even know exists so you could get on your fucking phone while you're driving on your way to work and not die. You know those folks? Yeah, that you don't give a shit about until you think they're in your way. Yeah. That Trump gets on rails against those folks, and he's such a dick about it and is so obvious about it that you can't, I guess, attack the other side using these as a weapon if he's already done it. So you have to make it up that he's not attacking them. He's not discrediting them. He's not creating a narrative where the elites or people who have studied or worked on certain issues and give a shit about this stuff he's not attacking them and bringing them down. They fell apart on their own. Therefore, again, why would you need a revolution against a system that doesn't exist?
Doesn't it always seem to be a win-win for them?
Yeah, that's what we were all hoping Trump would get in so that he could call the press the enemy of the people and attack medical science during a pandemic. We all had a big fucking boner for 2 of those pillars of normalcy to crash for no good reason.
Whether it's exposed, whether it works, whether it doesn't, they always seem to win. It always works in their favor.
You mean reality? Maybe. It isn't that reality works for us. Maybe it's just reality. And maybe it doesn't work for you because you're fucking bananas. And I don't mean insane or crazy. I mean, you're a banana fucker. I'm calling it out right now. I'm just throwing that. Glenn Beck fucks bananas. I mean, just allegedly, obviously. But from what I hear, he's been caught fucking bananas by Stu. Because he was supposed to be eating them instead of Sonic, but he was eating Sonic and fucking bananas at the same time. And you can get a weird form of fruit syphilis from that turns you into a dandy, I've heard, and makes you dress in a very peculiar way. Rumor has it.
So they've discredited the press.
No. Trump has attacked it nonstop.
They've discredited the experts.
No, that's what you do every day. Again, this asshole wants to actually, you're going to plead innocent now?
Easy would it be to regain the trust of our doctors and our scientists
if they would just tell the public what they want to hear, which is, of course, that fish tank cleaner will kill coronaviruses.
If they would just come out and say, yeah, we really blew it here, and we're finding the people responsible for it. We know it was Fauci.
You mean the people responsible for Operation Fartsteed, and that got us a vaccine that ended up keeping people out of the hospital, and our death rate, as soon as everybody started getting vaccinated, plummeted?
Why wouldn't you do that?
Because it's not true, and as an expert, you're bound by reality.
Because they want experts to continue to be discredited.
Yes. Why? How would that happen if indeed these people weren't fucking experts? If the argument is they're not experts, that doesn't discredit experts. That discredits, I guess, the idea that there are fraudsters in there, but it doesn't. All right.
By the average. So.
By the average. By the average what? Glenn Beck listener? Fuck out of here.
That way, when there's chaos on the street, do you trust the police? Do you trust the FBI?
Yeah. Yeah, most of the time.
Do you trust the medical association?
No, I gotta say, I don't know anybody there. The medical association, where are they located? The medical association, the Association of Medical Professionals, AMP. I don't have their number, and I don't think any of them know my PIN number. I mean, what kind of trust are we talking about? Are we talking about like I'll fall backwards and you guys will catch me, or or trust me, you'll like this, and I've trimmed my fingernails? That's the question.
River.
Mm-hmm.
Do you trust the media? Who's coming?
You are the media, fuckhead.
For you. If there's real trouble, who?
Nobody's coming for me. I come for myself. What? Yeah, I guess. All right. I'll stand by that.
Who's coming? Did you see the video of the guy on the...
What's with the turquoise fucking ring? What is that all of a sudden? Do you just swap out your wedding ring with a what?
Street in New York. He was a regular guy standing up in the streets of New York.
Just being a regular guy.
The press was asking him questions about,
what's it like to be a regular guy?
Why
being regular? And was he? My question is, was he shitting at the time? Because how did they know he was regular?
Drop your shorts and bend over, Mr. Babar.
Are you standing up against, the letting people across the border? And he looked at the reporter, and then he looked at the crowd and he said, guys, it's up to us. No one is coming to save our city. No one is coming to save our state or our Constitution.
That's right. If I'm coming, it's for my own pleasure. But, sorry.
No one's coming.
This is the type of thing, that's right. Sometimes I go to the gym and, I feel like the good feelings that when I'm coming, this is great.
The news is not telling you the truth.
And this was a regular guy. Man, such bravery.
The politicians are part of it. The politicians are the ones doing it to us.
They are? So wait a minute. So obviously, if no one's coming and they're doing it to you, maybe nobody's enjoying this. I'm just saying, consent matters.
We have to stand up.
He was, I would like to point out that the man was standing at the time. You just said he was standing. He was standing up. He was not sitting. He was not taking this sitting down.
He was not taking the coming sitting down, this.
So that way, if everything is discredited, you feel like you have to stand up, and then things get even more out of control because somebody does something stupid or something.
Again, Are you just going to walk us through the entire Trump presidency?
Is set up to make it look like that other side is doing something.
I see. So you're saying that agents provocateur made the Antifa people attack the federal building in Portland?
And
that's why they were picking some of them up in vans during the Trump administration. That they were sending them out there trying to kind of even it out to get prepped for Jan 6 because they knew that was coming.
can crack down. Everybody cries out for.
We don't crack down on this show. No. We crack up. Sorry.
Order.
It's terrible. Just terrible. Just terrible. Not as terrible as Glenn's outfit, but close.
Look at what's happening there in the news today.
I read the news today. Oh, boy. Glenn, real quick. You can't say that the step one of the revolution is already on autopilot because you can't trust the media and then cite the newspaper.
reading a couple of stories.
So you kept reading after the first bullshit story.
Chicago area high school provides segregated classes for Black and Hispanic students. Now, any time in modern history, we would know that's racist. You can't do that. What are you doing?
Hold on. Chicago area school. Hold on. Chicago area school segregated classrooms. Okay. Chicago area provides segregated classes for Black and here it is. This is the article he's talking about. This is from the Post Millennial, but we'll go to Chicago Public Schools and there's multiple articles about this. Go to high school. Okay, here you go. This would be from All Sides Media, which sounds completely fair. November, here you go. This is the article he's talking about. From the right. Let's read the full story. Come on. Can't just read the right-wing side of things. Go ahead, fuck off. Chicago area high school provides segregated classes for Black and Hispanic students. At issue for those who advocate for segregated education, the well-being of Black students who have been expected to conform to a white standard. A high school in Evanston, Illinois, home of Northwestern University, has embarked on a new plan to get grades up for minority students. Segregation. The classes, segregated by race for Black and Hispanic students, so-called affinity classes, and while they are not enforced, they were offered for Black and Hispanic students only. Because they were worried, that if you asked the white kids if they wanted to have whites-only classes, they'd say yes? Is that the argument? It's fucking Evanston. The classes have non-white teachers, and no white students are permitted in the courses. Students can decide to opt into these courses, and many do. The Wall Street Journal reports that almost 200 students signed up for math and writing courses in 2023. The idea is that Black and Hispanic students will do better in classes if they are separated from white students. In 2021, Chicago Middle School undertook segregated field trips. Jefferson Middle School District in Chicago wanted to facilitate the camaraderie between Black teachers and Black students. One student said that in the segregated classes, she feels more confident because she doesn't feel pressure to speak for the entire Black race. The courses were brought in as a way to bring... okay, because there's not that many, is the point. Okay, the courses were brought in as a way to bring minority students up to speed where they had been falling behind. The Evanston School Board Vice President said, our Black students are, for lack of a better word, at the bottom, consistently still, and they're being outperformed consistently. It's not good. School districts across the U.S. have attempted segregated classes, all which are done voluntarily. Since it is legal to discriminate against students for their race, the law banning segregation was passed, blah, blah, blah. While segregation has long been condemned as an outright evil, some of the programs are reaping positive results for their Black and Hispanic students. Researchers have found some small improvements in grades and retention from such programs. Other studies have shown more improved educational outcomes, such as graduation rates for Black and Latino students taught by teachers of the same race. So the idea also, just for the hiring aspect and I don't know if it's Evanston High School, I doubt it, but it is voluntary and it is remedial, meaning it is for students that are behind. And if they have a special problem with Black and Hispanic students falling behind, those classes, which are 200 kids in total, which are different subjects, so probably 10 to 12 per class. Yeah, I'm sorry. I am reading beyond the headline. That's my cross to bear, kids.
What is it doing? It is creating hostilities between races. It's creating...
Hold on. No, it actually isn't. It actually isn't. There's no hostility. As a matter of fact, it's just letting some of the Black kids who are remedial in these issues feel like they can relax and just study. And it's not every subject. You might have a bunch of classes that are mixed and one class that isn't because it's remedial and specifically for, so that you have somebody that looks like you guiding you through it so you have a feeling that there's a possibility.
Separate.
Just honestly, it's just representation for some kids who feel left behind because they're like, why the fuck would I want to study this? Nobody, that looks like me gets ahead in this area, or they've been bullshitted by well-meaning assholes, I would say, on our side of the aisle, who sometimes make them feel like aliens in their own country by constantly telling them the system is against them, when the system is constantly guided by people of all colors, races, and religions who are trying to make the whole country better for all the kids. Except for the Glenn Beck's world. Yeah.
Classes, except it's just reversed.
No, it isn't.
What is that going to do?
It's going to have more Black kids graduate from high school.
Did you see
in that particular school?
There was...
By the way, two schools where they do this, and it's voluntary. And this is supposed to be indicative of the direction the country is headed in.
Another story...
Yeah, you'll find it. You know what? Do you even have to quote it? Just make it up.
Where was this one?
Up your ass? I don't know if that's...
Like this, I'd probably feel 100%. Moon River. Thank you, Doc.
Hey, Doc.
You ever serve time?
Serve time?
Maybe New York, where the...
Probably New York. It probably was. Does it involve scary immigrant people and blacks and crime and hot dog vendors and Israelis and Palestinians arguing in the street? If it's any of those things, it's probably New York.
Students, Black and Hispanics, are no longer going to be held to that white standard of education.
No. That was the same article that you read. And the idea was an attempt at getting around that feeling that the students had. Not that they are, but to get around the feeling that they are.
Now, what does that mean?
It means you can't read. And perhaps they should have had remedial classes for chubby Colonel Sanders lookalikes.
You're going to lower the standards? Really? That's a white thing? Because I know a lot of dummy white people.
Well, but enough about the staff at the Blaze.
What does that do?
Well, most of those kids, by the way, are in almost entirely whites-only schools simply because they're in rural areas. Sort of think of some of the like inner city areas as kind of like rural areas for Black people. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of them, and there's not a lot of anybody else. And they have special issues that are related to the economic situation that they're in that's not that different from fucking hillbillies.
That just makes you into a slave.
Jesus Christ. No, it does not.
If you have poor education and you're not...
And by the way, let's be abundantly clear. This motherfucker thinks public education is the problem. He wants it eliminated. And he certainly doesn't want Black people to get into universities because he thinks none of them deserve it.
Held to a higher standard, what do you think's going to happen to our society?
I don't know. Maybe they should shut down all those fucking Montessori schools where there is no grading system up until they move on to a middle school or some shit like that. And those kids, gee, they do really fucking well. It's curious.
More than 2,500 police officers in New York City have quit this year.
What's the standard attrition rate for New York? How many? There. Let's see. How many did he say? He said, yeah, here you go. 20, how many? 2,500?
New York City.
Back the fuck up.
More than 2,500 police officers in New York City have quit this year.
This year, in 2023, and it's November, it's almost December. 2,500? No shit. Wait a second. 2,500. My God, that seems like a rather large number. And it's almost as if this dickhead is reading from the New York Post. 2,516 New York cops head for the exit so far in 2023. Pension data, according to New York. Now, let's see. Let's scroll down here real quick. Our cops, this is 2021. Our NYPD officers rushing to retire amid city's anti-cop protests. Okay, there we go. There we go. More than 5,300 cops left NYPD in 2020. Less than half that number quit this year. So, who's president in 2020? And who's president now? And what policies were in place in 2020? And what policies are in place now? Gee, it's curious. You think that's kind of curious? Does anybody think that's fucking kind of curious that in 2020, twice as many cops quit?
New York City is also
tall. It's a very tall city. A lot of tall buildings. Very tall.
A place where
what? Where all the to quote Dylan Moran, the sex, coffee, and conversation happened.
What was it?
What was it? People saying "fuck you" when they're asked directions.
2 billion.
2 billion? That's a lot.
Place where what was it? 2 billion.
2 billion people have died.
Can't find it now.
2 billion people were shot while shopping at for a car in a drugstore.
But the amount of money, I think it's $2.4 billion that has been lost.
You just make it up. By the way, let me just tell you right now what we just watched. He's fucking making up that number.
Lost this year in theft.
Oh my God. Theft? $2.4 billion in theft in New York City? Gee, it's almost like things are worth more and more people have things that are worth more than, say, 1975.
In theft.
In theft. And by the way, New Yorkers don't drive, so it's not a lot of carjacking. That's a Chicago
Businesses
thing.
are closing. They can't handle the amount of theft.
Yeah, the M&M store is fucked. I mean, you'd think you'd be able to arrest these people, but they don't melt in their hands, so you can't, they can't be caught brown-handed, as it were, or what have you. Yellow/brown/red/ perhaps green even.
What does that make you do? Makes you cry out for...
It does. It makes me cry out. Why, God? Why? All right. Does it?
For somebody to make it stop.
Yeah, that's right. Make it stop. That's what most people in New York are doing. I want you to go to your window right now. And I want you to lean out your window and say, make it stop. And somebody on the street will go, hey, fuck you. Tell that to the guy behind you, you prick you. Like that. And everybody will have a good laugh.
Now, this is the way they're trying to make Argentinians, the Argentinian president.
Argentinians?
And look.
like a 70s movie producer?
Like he's crazy and a fascist.
Well, I gotta say, hold on. Make it stop. Stu, make it stop. So he's talking about Javier Milei, who's the new darling of the right. This is the guy, let's see news. The guy who just won down there, and everybody's like, he's a libertarian. He's the Argentinian Donald Trump. Except for him to be the Argentinian Donald Trump, he would have had to take power while things were relatively fine and then crash the economy and let a pandemic roll through the entire place and fuck it. He's actually taking over when everything is already fucked. In many ways, he's sort of the Argentinian Joe Biden. He's playing cleanup after the last guy fucked things up. Let's see. Argentina, as you know, Argentina, men have named you. Where the fuck? All right, let me go back to search. Here you go. Argentina, there you go. Who is the Javier Milei? Who is this person? This is the, and I love, by the way, they're calling him a far right guy. Not because he's even a fascist, or that's the idea of what he's doing. He's just, the country is so fucked. Like, the populism is pretty much made with crayons and hammers right now. But he's just anti-socialist because what South American socialists are like are not Bernie Sanders socialists. They're dudes with mustaches and gangs of, like, armed militants behind them. It's not the same thing. And so even when you're fighting for, like, they're trying to destroy South American socialism because the capitalists, blah, 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 pig dogs, yada, yada, it's not even close to true. It's a lot closer to, you know, being pro-union, and people are still referring to unions like it's dock workers controlled by the mob in 1935. Right. So Javier Milei won Argentina's presidential elections on Sunday, wrenching his country to the right with a bombastic anti-establishment campaign that drew comparisons to that of former U.S. President Donald Trump because they both have stupid hair. All against the backdrop of one of the world's highest inflation rates, which is also what he has in common with Donald Trump, because Donald Trump caused his, and this guy is landing in the middle of it. Milei is the president-elect for the next 4 years. Well, no, he'd be the I say president-elected for the next 4 years. Here he goes. He's going to have, following his victory, Milei told a local radio station that he will visit the U.S. and Israel before his inauguration in December. His trip to the U.S. will have a spiritual connotation since he's aiming to visit his rabbi friends. He's converting to Judaism, by the way. We discussed this yesterday with the Israeli ambassador in Argentina. He said, adding that he intends to visit the Organization of American States during his time in the U.S. Milei's victory remarks an extraordinary rise for the former TV pundit and lead singer in a hard rock band and failed Tom Jones impersonator. Today, we turn our page in our history and we return to the path that we should have never lost. Today, we retake the path and make this, that made this country great. So Milei, a social conservative with ties to the American right, opposed abortion rights and has called climate change a lie of socialism. His promise to slash government spending by closing Argentina's ministries of culture, education, diversity, and by eliminating public subsidies because they can't afford anything. They don't have anything right now. They can't pay for anything right now. Kind of got to build on some of this stuff. And by the way, he will outsource all of those support structures to countries like the UN and the World Bank and the United States and people trying to invest in the country. And so he'll shut them down and let the fucking UN move in the same way that, like, red states have a tendency to do this as well. They go, we don't want any federal subsidies, but we'll take them. We'll just pretend we're not taking them. Right. We don't need any federal money. The federal government takes too much money. It does everything wrong. Meanwhile, we'll be at the ribbon cutting for all the fucking infrastructure projects. Same shit.
But I want you to listen to what he says. I don't necessarily like the way he says it.
Because he says chingo tu madre and things like that, which he does.
He uses the S word a lot. But
socialism or shit?
Listen to what he's saying.
What he says
about
shit.
The left in Argentina.
Right, which is not the left in this country, for the record.
You can't give leftards an inch.
You can't give shit. I love how they're okay with that word, though.
Can you define leftist?
No, I can't. You just have to take my word for it.
All collectivists, all kinds of collectivists.
You know, all kinds of collectivism. And we, as Argentinians, as a group, we know better than that. That we, the good Argentinians of the Argentinian people, and the fine line of, we hate collectivism, as Argentinians have as a group for a long time. We hate any kind of collective idea that, you know, except the whole thing about being Argentinian. And then, well, that's kind of a collective thing, but we only care about our people. Argentinian collectivism first.
But why do you call them shit?
Because they are.
I don't even know where there's a controversy about this fella. He speaks clearly, and you know exactly what he's talking about, and he's big on details. He actually is. This is what Glenn. This is of course the clip of this guy talking that Glenn would focus on, because it doesn't have any math in it. He doesn't talk about like interest and bond rates and by the way, there's a huge part of this conversation that is missing that I'm curious. I don't pre-watch any of these videos, so I'm curious to see if Glenn goes anywhere near it. I'm guessing not. And that would be the dollarization of this country.
If you think differently from them, they will kill you. This is the point. You can't give leftists an inch. If you give them an inch, they will use it to destroy you.
Yeah, well, that's because he's talking about kind of the Contras and that kind of crowd. That's what I'm saying. There's a huge difference between what he deals with as far as quote-unquote leftists down there and what we view as the left in this country, which is like Bernie Sanders and people like that. They're not even parallel. And the problem is with left-right conversations is that they don't necessarily translate country to country.
You can't negotiate with leftards. You don't negotiate. You don't negotiate with trash because they will end you. If they, the left, have a guy that beats his wife off, if it's one of them,
beats his wife off? Well, it's a very strange way of putting it. I mean, that makes sense if it's Trump, though.
I had a beat off.
he puts on the green scarf and yells about neoliberalism all the time, and they hide it. If suddenly there's a journalist that molests another journalist.
What? Does this happen a bunch? Is he just trying to apply to this to her? Excuse you?
They hide it.
What? Yes. Yes, I get it, guys. She's smoking hot. Try to pay attention.
When it's one of them, they hide it. They hide all of those aberrations. Now, if you are on the other side, they will ruin you.
I see. So he's worried that they will attack him for molesting a journalist if he decides to molest a journalist. I don't know why that's on his mind right now. But they bury it if you're on their side, and that's how nobody knows that it's happened. But it couldn't be that it didn't happen. It has to be that they buried it.
They will kill you. They will throw you everything. They don't care if they ruin your whole life. Why? Only because you don't think like them.
Well, if don't think like them, you mean you believe in molesting people and they don't, then it's not really about thought, is it? It's sort of about action.
And do you know what's the good part in all of this?
No, I really, really don't. You get at the presidential palace, you get better shampoo.
Because since to err is human, since everyone can be mistaken, they force us to be better. And since we are getting better than them, since we are crushing them in the cultural battle, we're not only superior economically, we are morally superior. We are
Yeah, this doesn't sound like fascism at all.
aesthetically superior.
We're aesthetically superior. Yeah, we got better haircuts, better suits, our teeth.
We're better than them at everything, and that triggers them. And since they
I see. So they're only freaking out. They hate us because they ain't us.
They can't beat us with
Because what about your anus? Wait,
real
what?
arguments. They just use the repressive apparatus of the state with loads of taxpayer money to destroy us.
They don't have loads of taxpayer money. That's the point.
And yet they're still losing.
That's because they don't actually have any taxpayer money to use, and they're not doing what you're saying they're doing?
They had to remove the blacklist. They had to remove the blacklist. You understand? They're losing. They're desperate. Leftists are losing the cultural battle. For the first time ever, they are cornered. Those leftards.
Yeah, it's like this. I can't wait till Glenn has this guy on his show.
Okay. Now, when you watch him, he looks a little nuts.
I don't know, not necessarily. He's a little overripe, but you know, he looks like Trump's kind of wild-eyed bullshitting about his trials.
He's got an interesting aesthetic going on there.
Yeah, he does. He does.
He's got the crazy hair. He's very passionate.
Right.
But that's a way, people use that to dismiss him, obviously
Correct.
at their own peril.
But listen.
At their own peril? Why? He just got the job and the country's in the shitter. And it will require an international effort to help him right that country again. And it's going to have almost nothing to do with fucking libertarian Ayn Rand bootstrapping in the fucking country.
Listen to what he's saying. Why do we think this is about the Democrats and Republicans?
It isn't.
Why are we fighting over stupid parties?
Because you've backed Donald Trump, who's the head of a stupid party?
When this is being fought now in Ireland, it's
No, it isn't.
being fought in several countries in Europe. This is being fought. He was just elected as president of Argentina. This isn't an American problem. This isn't about Trump supporters. This isn't about
This isn't a... Yeah, it has nothing to do with you. What's really going on here is that you're losing so badly on your side of the aisle in this country, the country you actually live in, that you're looking for strength and leadership and the illusion of clarity anywhere you can fucking find it. So that's why you like Orban. That's why, anytime somebody rises up in the streets, even if they're rising up against you and your ilk, in theory, you're like, look, those people did it, so can we.
the Tea Partiers. They want you to believe that it is, but it's not.
Gibberish.
It's about standing up against an ideology of collectivism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we need to get together as a group and destroy collectivism. That's what we have to do. We have to band together. All of us. We're all in this together. In the fight against collectivism. Oh, motherfucker. It's the power of the individual. Who's with me? He doesn't even recognize, you can't, no? All right.
That's what this is about.
It is. It's about the power of, it's about each of us alone against the world. Joined at the hip. All right.
They believe that there are ranchers and sheep.
And somebody's getting fucked. I'm just saying.
Moon River.
And if you agree with them, maybe you could be a rancher.
You mean that? Hey, asshole! What the fuck do you think the Electoral College is? That's literally the dividing point. That's the Republican Party's story. Democrats are, whether you like it or not, we're all sheep some of the time because we all got to eat. And we're all, not responsible for everything that happens in our life. Some motherfucker might try to shear us against our will. Might be a good idea. But the Republicans are actually like, nah, fuck you. We're the ranchers, Electoral College. The sheep can try to vote all they fucking want, but we'll corral all your votes in one place. And if we disagree with what the sheep say, we'll vote our way. That's exactly what that is, dum-dum.
Otherwise, get into the pen. You're sheep. You will be slaughtered if the sheep ever figure out, wait a minute, there's more of us than them.
I see. So if the sheep ever figure out that there's more of us than them, if they learn to count sheep, wait a minute, if the sheep learn to count sheep, won't they all sleep through the revolution? It's a tough one.
You'll be slaughtered. That's what we're arguing about.
I still don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
We're not arguing about tax policy or anything else.
Right, because you can't.
This guy is a great example. You hear this from...
He is a great example of probably a road manager that the Carpenters had to fire because he alienated too many venues.
Somebody on the right in Europe it can be very scary because you don't know. Because in Europe,
You don't know what?
left and right is very different.
Oh, you motherfucker. But in South America, it's the same? Eat shit.
The left is communism. The right is fascism.
Uh-huh. Go on.
Both of those are oppressive and death prescriptions. Horrible, horrible systems.
And the great thing about South America is that there's never been any South American fascists. There've never been any, murderous regimes or juntas or military takeovers of South American countries. That's never happened.
Here, the left is totalitarianism of any kind.
Oh, I see. So you can, even if they're racist and anti-Semitic and, don't like black people or race mixing or anything, as long as they're totalitarian, they're on the left no matter what. Okay.
Theological, leftist, fascistic, any of this stuff. Communism, that's all on the left.
Yeah, okay. I guess that makes it easy. And everything on the right is what? Sunshine, rainbows?
In America, the right is anarchy. Government so small that it can't do anything. And the very extreme of that is anarchy. We're just inside, out of reach of anarchy.
All right, this is a dumber argument than I was expecting. I'm amazed. Honestly, I thought he was going to paint we should be we shouldn't be that close to anarchy. And the fact that we're that close to it means we should move, I guess, a little more center left then in this. What a bunch of shit. What?
That's what American conservatives should be fighting for.
Okay. Yes, that's us, the GOP, fighting for just short of anarchy. You know that part where you're always afraid society's going to collapse and hordes of people are going to attack you like it's the fucking purge every other day? That's what we want. That's our new platform. We're the GOP. Just short of anarchy. We're changing it from GOP to GSA.
That's what makes this guy less scary.
Because he's way short of anarchy? Because their country is already fucked?
Now, he can change.
No, he can't. Dude, motherfucker, he can't change from anything yet. All you're seeing is rhetoric. He's just now become the president. He fucking hasn't done anything yet. And you know what he's going to do, you dumb motherfucker? You know what he's going to do? He's going to dollarize the fucking country. And you were running all last year on how people are going to abandon the dollar and fuck the dollar. And Biden has screwed the dollar so much that people can't wait to get out of the fucking dollar. And now your fucking hero cannot wait to dollarize his whole fucking country, to phase out his currency entirely and replace it with the US dollar.
Maybe he's a fraud. I don't know. But what he's saying he's going to do is dismantle all of the power centers.
They don't have any power centers. They don't have any tax revenue. They have 112% inflation. Their interest rates are ridiculous. Like, what are you talking about? You can't dismantle the power structures. They have no power to start with. The whole place is a fucking wreck.
He's going to dismantle their Federal Reserve, their
yeah. What's he going to replace it with, asshole?
central bank.
And
he says they're controlling the finances. They're controlling the money. They're controlling everything. And they're debasing and devaluing the money of the average person.
And so they found us. I suppose you're getting so fucking close, Glenn. You're getting so fucking close. I suppose they have found a solution, perhaps an alternative currency that doesn't have that problem.
Well, that's same here.
No, it isn't. Then why is he choosing our dollar and not the euro, you twit? The fuck? No, not same here. The dollar's worth more than $1, you asshole.
But if you speak out against the Federal Reserve, you're a crackpot.
No, you could. I talk about how Jerome Powell is wrong, and they're not equating the problems they're equating with our economy are based more on supply issues than on too much money in the system and all that kind of stuff. And him like attaching this Volcker philosophy is not going to help. We've already discussed this. Nobody's getting fucking locked up. But if you go like from 0 to Ron Paul in 2 seconds, and it's not 1998, people will go, "Oh, you're an asshole. I see."
I'm a fascist because I believe that no secret cabal of bankers and banks should decide what my money is worth.
They don't do it in secret, dumb fuck. They literally have open meetings. The market reacts to it. Son of a bitch. I'm going to get all wound up, and I want you guys know that I'm happy to do this. I'm not upset in any way. I'm having a great time. Just what it's made better. Hold on. Let's see. Interest rates hike, Fed meeting, something like that. Now, I don't know. Yeah, luckily, I was able to go to bigsecret.com and find shit like this. Fed shifts into cautious policy mode as risks become more two-sided. U.S. Federal Reserve officials... Oh, get the fuck out of here. This is November 21st. U.S. Federal Reserve officials agreed at their last policy meeting, which was totally in secret, and how would you fucking know? But I guess we'll just have to believe you, media, that they would proceed carefully, in quotes, and only raise interest rates if progress in controlling inflation faltered. The minutes of the October 31st, November 1st gathering showed on Tuesday, which were totally in secret, and nobody was allowed to read them, or they'll blow your fucking brains out, because the minutes of the meeting are available to the public. All participants agreed the committee was in a position to proceed carefully, according to the minutes, which appeared to show support for more rate hikes dissipating within the U.S. Central Bank's Federal Open Market Committee, and the baseline shifting to one in which its benchmark overnight interest rate remains steady, absent a bad inflation surprise. Inflation has been slowing. Consumer prices did not rise at all on a month-to-month basis in October. Consumer prices did not rise at all on a month-to-month basis in October. And while the Fed has not declared its fight against rapid price increases over, the tenor of the discussion has been shifting towards a focus on how long to keep the policy rate in the current 5.25 to 5.50 range. Participants noted that further tightening of monetary policy would be appropriate if incoming information indicated the progress towards the committee's inflation objective was insufficient. Boom. Thank you very much. Shitheel. Big secret. By the way, don't tell anybody I showed you that, or I'm going to have to kill you guys. Chat room, consider yourself warned. Don't make me murder you. Look, I only got to show you what happened in those meetings minutes because I'm part of the cabal. I am the establishment, after all. I'm the Democratic machine. I am the deep state. I may not hit the bottom, but I'll scrape the shit out of the sides, and I'm here to remind you that I know all the inside scoop, the inside skinny, as it were. Which I'm glad the inside is skinny, so you have a little room to move around. But if you tell anybody, I will make your dinner explode after you've eaten it. And not in the fun family way. It will not require a finger pull, I'm telling you. So, do you consider yourself warned? Chat room? Chat room? All right. We'll get back to it, but don't tell anyone that I showed you the secret meetings from the cabal. The secret meeting minutes from the cabal.
To decide what they can print and not print.
Yes, I guess it should all. Everybody should have a say in it. This motherfucker doesn't believe in democracy. He believes in the Electoral College, but he thinks he should have a say in how much currency is printed.
That my children have to pay for? I'm a fascist because I believe that shouldn't exist?
No, you're a fascist for a bunch of other dumb reasons. And a lot of it is, we should have been warned with your fucking symbol all over everything and your fucking initials on everything like you're fucking Saddam Hussein. But by the way, I don't believe that in terms of monetary policy and his attitude towards the Fed, Glenn Beck is a fascist. I don't want, honestly, let me, in a moment of honesty, I don't believe he's a fascist. I think he's a fucking moron. And he's intellectually incapable of grasping any of these issues. And in his confusion, he gets he has an angry panic reflex, like the intellectual toddler that he is. You know what I mean? He has a reaction to these kind of things like a kid that's in one of those like child seats with the bib on and the little platter in front of them, and they're done eating but they're not done eating, so they just that's in terms of monetary policy, that's Glenn.
He's right. They are losing. It is
motherfucker, he's replacing his currency with ours.
Going to come right down to the wire.
What do you mean, November 4th of next year? That it's going to be great until it's ass.
And
and it's going to be ass right as Trump gets elected, and luckily he'll be right there to fix it by doing nothing.
I think AI is going to play a big role.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Look, Glenn, stick to one issue you don't know shit about at a time.
But if we stay sane,
if he says, right. How's that work out? Tell me.
Keep our wits on our heads and our Judeo-Christian ethics about us.
And which ones would those be? You're talking Judeo-Christian, so because it's kind of a toss-up. On the one hand, on the Christian side, you've got turn the other cheek and love thy enemy and love thy neighbor as thyself and do unto others. And then on the Judeo side of it, no offense, guys, you got turn the other cheek and stoning people for shrimp and being gay. So it sounds like you want to have your cake, and it sounds like, Glenn, you want to eat your cake and eat it too. You weird fuck. And also, say if again. Say if again, motherfucker. Say if again. If what? If what? Say if again. Say if again.
And we...
Yeah, shrimp. Some people are confused by that in the chat room. According to Leviticus, being gay and eating shellfish are punishable by the same death sentence. They're both deadly sins. And so you go to hell for being gay or eating shrimp. And also for wearing polycotton rayon pants. Because if you wear golf pants, you're going to hell. Because you can't wear two types of fabric on the body at the same time. So, yeah. That's according to Leviticus. I'm just saying, you're playing with fire. And if you're going to eat shrimp and wear golf pants, might as well suck a dick if you're a guy, because it's fine. I mean, you can't, they can't put you in more hell. If there was more hell, then it wouldn't be hell, would it? It would be kind of mid-hell, and who's fucking afraid of that? You know what I mean? Maybe it's purgatory hell, something, right? Yeah. I don't think the women wearing pants mattered, Vincent. It's just, yeah, it's a mix of, yeah, you can't mix fabrics. And part of that was an anti-Asian thing, but whatever. We'll get to that later. We'll do that on Christmas. So
let people see our ethics.
Why start now?
Nobody wants to hang out with people who are screaming, death to the Jews.
Right, so just think it, I guess, is what you're saying. Don't scream it. Just whisper it during sex or something. I get it. I hear what you're doing. No, are you sure? And by the way, are you sure nobody wants to hang out? Because there's a lot of fucking assholes out there that I saw hanging out yelling exactly that. I just think nobody's a big word.
At least I hope not.
Well, thanks for drawing that really hard line there, buddy.
And that's what they're becoming. Shout your abortion, death to the Jews.
I don't know. That's an overlapping group, because I don't think any of the guys at Charlottesville who were yelling "Jews will not replace us" were shouting their abortion at the time. And also admitting that you've had an abortion because you're trying to shame women with silence, and that's where that came from, is again your fault. Women didn't need to talk about their abortions until you tried to make it so that only women who are evil and want to just get rid of their kid 2 days before it's born and paint this picture of women and deny them a right based on that false premise, that they had to come out and go, I've actually had one too. How many do you think, Glenn, ask? I guess you'd have to put him on a lie detector. I don't know how it would work, though, because he lies all the time. So I don't know what your baseline is. And, of course, you could ask him under oath, but I think he would also lie. Ask Donald Trump how many abortions he's paid for.
Take and mutilate children.
Oh, you mean circumcision?
Teach children in school that they should be protesters above everything else.
Well, it is America, and you have the right to do that and stuff. And so we kind of, you mean like teaching them the story of the Boston Tea Party? You mean teaching them that early in school instead of saving it for college or some shit?
And that they can be whatever they want.
Oh my God, what a terrible notion.
And it starts with not listening to your parents, because
never, not ever.
You know better than your parents. And
well, every teenager thinks that and stuff.
We're on your side.
What do you, who are you talking to? A group of youth pastors?
Who wants that?
I don't know. Definitely not the kids who get in the youth pastor's van before he's arrested.
That's what this is really all about.
I thought it was about... you sure it isn't the hokey pokey? Because honestly, my whole life, I've heard them say that's what it's all about. And it's usually the hokey pokey. I mean, I remember when I was a kid and I started laughing at the phrase hokey pokey, which makes it sound like you're fucking a magician. But still, I guess when I was a teenager laughing about it, I probably wished that was what it was all about. But also, for the record,
Bullshit!
Yeah, this is just fucking nonsense. All of it. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. We can dance around this all we want and break this up into pieces, but let me just say the entire run of this video has been gibberish.
And I hope he does exactly what he says.
Okay, this is him going to commercial. The finger point is him letting the staff know that he's going to commercial. He is just yammering to get to the end of this. Just saying. Hold on, I'll show you what I mean. We see this all the time. This is him. You know how sometimes I have to tell Phil when we're coming to a break because there's a delay? There's no delay between fucking Glenn and the booth. As a matter of fact, they could set up a transition button for him that allows him on to cue his own break if he wanted to with a single touch of a button, because he's got all these screens and all this shit in front of him. He's just too lazy and lame to do it. He'd forget. Watch.
And I hope he does exactly what he says he's going to do.
See that? It's like that when I point, then when I finish the sentence, that means cut to the break. Ugh. Now, I feel like I know so much more about myself and the way I feel about things, the way you feel about things, the way, Glenn feels himself, and who's coming and who's not coming and who knows what is coming and this type of things. And you know this. Fade to Beck. Get out of here, John. That's hilarious. let's see. Yeah, this will be okay. I'm totally out of time. We went way over with this. What the hell? Oh yeah, still no word from Dan Ball on or as Booker or anybody like that. Just still nothing. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So that's it for our show today, because anything else would take me into another hour. And so tomorrow, I'm going to do my morning show at the regular time. Tomorrow's afternoon show will be late because I got to go to LA for Flappers. And so I will be doing the drive right after my show. So as soon as I'm done, if I can hop in my car and drive in there. And so it'll take me a moment once I get there to set up and be ready to do the show. So please forgive me if it's a little bit late in the afternoon. I'll remind everybody in the morning. But it's easier for me if I'm not doing the morning show and trying to contact Phil and any other guests that we have, outside of my home system, which works really well compared to everything else. So I will be, and instead of, getting up ass early and driving like an idiot, like I told you, I'm going to leave right after the show. So just letting you know. And so if I need to buy myself a little bit of time, if I'm an hour late tomorrow, that's why. And other than that, I adore you, and you're wonderful, and take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And I will see you come the morn. And there was another thing too. Beware of the kidney. Yeah. Don't say I didn't warn you.